Elisabeth Garneau. In his poem Almond Tree, Peter Dale Scott expresses as his main theme the pain of losing a loved one, whether it is by death or separation, and having to let them go, by using the destruction of an almond tree as a symbol for the brutal disappearance of that person. Growing up, we had in our yard at home a huge apple tree, or at least it seemed huge to me. I used to climb it and race my brothers to the top of the trunk. But when I was 7, I remember we had to have it cut off and rooted out because it was dying and beginning to rot. Seeing it leave our backyard, it was painful to me, because it was like saying goodbye to so many happy memories. Our apple tree had grown to be more than a tree to us, and its disappearance left us grieving in a way. Reading Almond Tree brought back those memories to me. However, I was able to find a new additional meaning to the poem. Indeed, the persona is not only letting go of a tree, it represents something else. Poetry is a very lyrical type of literature, where form often matters as much as content. Thereby, Peter Dale Scott uses many literary devices to enrich his text, such as alliteration, personification, and most importantly, symbolism. The use of alliteration gives the poem corpus and makes it more pleasant to the ear. Some examples are dismembered in a garden and children jump from the clean chips. The personification of the tree indicates that it represents something bigger to the persona. It's more than a plant, it's more than a character, it's the recipient, the person to whom the persona speaks. The whole narrative symbolizes the end of grief, the difficult journey to acceptance. The almond tree is a symbol for a loved one the persona is grieving. It grows in the narrator's yard, and he constantly sees it from his office window, which represents his inability to get closure in his loss. The tree is dying, and he knows he has to root it out, but he's apprehensive to do so, because it will hurt him and give him the feeling that he's tarnishing the tree's memory. Finally doing so frees him, but it does indeed damage him. The story reminds us of the feeling cutting someone out of our lives creates, whether it's because they have passed or because they have left. The vocabulary intensifies the tree's personification and its signification to the persona. The choice of words allows us to feel how brutal and painful it is for the persona to let go of the weight of his grieving, as well as how he imagines the almond tree being as affected as him. Because of its genre, it's difficult to find a linear narrative to Almond Tree. The purpose of the poem is rather to express the personas and perhaps the author's feelings in a cyclical way. From beginning to end, it explores pain, sadness, grieving, letting go, and compassion. That's why at first glance, the text doesn't seem coherent. Its meaning is buried deeper than at the surface, and we have to see the poem as more than a simple story in order to understand that. In conclusion, Almond Tree certainly is an emotion-filled text. The devices used, the structure of the text, and the vocabulary all show that the author's main intention is to express feelings and to solicit the audience's feelings. In that light, the poem reminds us of Martin Luther King's 1963 speech. The intonations and apostrophe he uses in this speech are an attempt to rally the audience to his cause by the means of emotions solicitation.